Let's get started. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to today's Shippo Service Hours webinar. We're excited to walk you through how to get started using Shippo or, managing your online store. Before we kick off, just a quick housekeeping logistic. If you want to ask questions, Malcolm and Mike, who I will introduce in a minute, will manage the Q&A box. So if you have questions, put it in there. If we don't get to it today, or if the question's a bit too specific, we will email and reach out to you with an answer following the presentation. So wanted to quickly introduce ourselves as we walk you through this presentation today. I'm Joanne. I will guide everyone through the different parts of how to get started. Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Joe. My name is Mike Hathaway. I run our inbound and channel sales teams here at Shippo and focus on sales and implementation for new customers. So really excited to be on the webinar today. Certainly a lot of my role over the last 6 or so months has been about helping new businesses or helping existing businesses transition to the e-commerce space and do so in a way that gives them confidence that they're setting things like pricing model, setting up their shipping, and providing a really good customer experience all the way from hitting that buy button to when they receive their package to all the way post-purchase. So I have been here at Shippo for almost 2 years, and I'm very familiar with the shipping space now. And yeah, like I mentioned, really excited to be on the call today.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Malcolm, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Malcolm. I've been at Shippo for a few years now, and I've spent my entire career actually in the e-commerce space. So prior to being at Shippo, I was at Walmart e-commerce, so completely opposite end of the spectrum. And then before that, I was at a smaller but pretty well-established e-commerce merchant. So in addition to working at Shippo on the sales side of things with Mike, I also run a little small project on the side with my own e-commerce business on Shopify. So I've been in the exact same place that many of you are in right now, either just getting started, owning and operating your own business, or maybe looking to take it to the next level and learning some new tricks on how you can save money and take your workflow to a new level. So really excited to share some of my experience and hopefully be a resource for you all.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I am really excited to ask you a bunch of questions and have you guys walk through your expertise. And through today's discussion, we're going to refer back to Shippo. So I wanted to just give a quick background on who we are. And for that, Malcolm, can you just give us a quick overview?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think everyone knows the short answer what Shippo does, right? Shipping. But as the slide indicates, there's way more that we do than that. So we're going to cover a lot of different things, hopefully pretty quickly, and give you a really high level idea of what Shippo does, but it could probably best be distilled into 4 separate categories. And that is connecting your store. It's so simple to get started and connect it to any of the platforms that you are doing business on. For instance, like connecting to your Etsy store or Shopify, Wix, etc. And then printing discounted shipping labels. So Shippo gives you access to the best available rates, and then gives you the ability to quickly and easily print those labels out after you purchase them. Additionally, you can track your orders, so that's for your own personal use, as well as getting that information out to your customers. And then managing and automating returns. This might be something you need to utilize for your business. Maybe it's something you don't, or maybe it's something you might need in the future. But if you ever do need any kind of returns, Shippo makes it as quick, cheap, and easy as possible.
Awesome. Thanks, Malcolm. All right. So what we're going to do today is kind of walk you through the first couple of steps or things that you are thinking about when you are starting to ship online. As we, started in this new circumstance from COVID, we realized that a ton of customers were reaching out to us just about how to get started, not even about Shippo at all. So we thought that we would provide some guidelines to help as everyone starts to come online. And one of my very first questions when I was starting to learn about the shipping space is, how do I choose packaging, and what does that, or how does that come into play for the different products I have to ship and whatnot? So for that, I'm going to go to Mike to help us understand how to choose packaging.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, packaging is definitely one of the first things we always think about when we're working with a new customer. And there are generally two different paths that customers can take. There's providing their own packaging or using packaging provided by a carrier. So a good example is a USPS flat rate box or USPS regional rate box. And those are fantastic options for a couple different reasons. I'll start with the carrier provided parceling, and we'll get back into own parcel, our own packaging options thereafter. So with carrier provided parcels, as I mentioned, there are flat rate options. There are options that specialize for delivering items that go to specific regions or that are available for specific service levels, like a USPS priority mail. Flat rate boxes, priority mail boxes are a great option because USPS will give them to you for free, and they'll also mail them to you for free. So especially right now where we might not want to go into our local post office, there are options for getting that packaging delivered to you for free. Typically, flat rate boxes are a really good option if you're sending something that's heavy that fits within one of those boxes. Typically, postage is built or is based on the distance you're sending an item, how heavy it is, and how large the box is. So weight plays an extremely important factor in that calculation. So in many instances where your item is over 4 to 6 pounds, using a flat rate box can be a way to minimize the overall shipping costs associated with your items. Additionally, using a flat rate box makes it really easy to understand exactly what your shipments are going to cost to send out. And Shippo provides discounts on all flat rate options through USPS. So if you're creating a flat rate label through USPS with Shippo, you're generally saving 5 to 15%. So there's a lot of upside to using carrier provided parcels. But generally, they're a really good option for anybody who just needs free packaging or might be shipping something that's a little bit heavier. And so they don't want their item costs or item shipping costs to be based on the weight of the item. So that's carrier provided parcels. On your own packaging side, and there are a few different options that are very popular for e-commerce businesses. When it comes to packaging, I probably should have started with this, but the first thing that you should always keep in mind is you need your item to get there safe and securely. And so when you're packaging your item, if you're shipping something that is valuable or is potentially fragile, you want to make sure that you're including packaging supplies, that you're using boxes and packaging methods that allow it to survive transit and get there safely. So whether you're using your own newspaper or using some recyclable bubbles, there are lots of options out there. In the own packaging space, there are a lot of really cool options that can help you save a lot of money on shipping. One of the most popular options is a poly mailer bag. I'm sure if you've ever received a package, you've probably gotten one of these where it's just basically a plastic bag that you can put your item in. And this is especially popular for apparel shippers because it's not, apparel typically doesn't get damaged if it's maybe tossed around in transit. And so just covering it in a plastic bag often provides an excellent customer experience and limits the overall additional weight you're adding to your package in order to keep the shipping costs low. So poly mailer bags are a fantastic option for packaging anything small, light, and of course, not super fragile. Then certainly you can use your own boxes, envelopes. Boxes and envelopes are probably the only two other categories that are worth mentioning. But you can certainly use just random boxes laying around the house or go out and order maybe from a supplier like an Office Depot or Amazon or even Uline to get your own custom boxes. And Shippo will allow you to create labels across all different carriers for any of your own packaging. So you're never constrained by a carrier by using your own packaging options. It'll allow you to be really agile when you're navigating different shipping rates to make sure that for each and every shipment, you're shipping it out for the lowest cost possible. So when it comes to choosing packaging, always make sure you pack it in a way that gets it there safe. Try to limit weight as much as possible by using options like poly mailer bags. And where it makes sense for heavier items, you can use flat rate boxes to help limit your overall costs and provide a really predictable shipping cost for you and your customers.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And you mentioned it a ton during your talk about packaging already, and it's one of the elements that customers have to think about when they are shipping. But costs, you talked about costs, you talked about it in relation to packaging, but can you elaborate a little bit more on other aspects?
Yeah, great question. So in general, there are three factors that come into play when calculating shipping costs. It's the distance it's traveling, which most merchants don't have any control over. So getting a good sense of kind of what your average distance traveled will help you come up with your pricing model. Then it's size of box and weight of total shipment. And those two are much more controllable for vendors or merchants who are sending out their items. So really, when it comes to minimizing cost, it's all about keeping your package as light and as small as possible and getting there safely with all of your items intact. So when it comes to minimizing costs across things like using different carriers, that's where a tool like Shippo can be especially advantageous. Shippo, as an aggregator service, has discounted shipping rates with USPS, UPS, DHL, and a variety of regional carriers that you can take advantage of for your last mile delivery to your customers. And so when you're creating a shipment in Shippo, we're automatically going to show you the lowest rate across any of those carriers for that specific shipment. This can both be really helpful when you're actually shipping out your items, or if you're planning on launching your business, for figuring out exactly what your shipping cost will be and how you should factor that into your pricing model. When you're getting started, what I always suggest small and medium-sized businesses do, or anybody launching or anybody scaling, and I'm sure Malcolm can speak to this, is using a tool like Shippo to create a bunch of different sample shipments. So I am here in California. To understand how I'd figure out like what my average shipping cost would be, very likely I would create a shipment within California. I'd create one to maybe Seattle, maybe Denver, maybe Chicago, Florida, all the way over to New York. And then if you have 5 or 6 shipments in Shippo, you can enter different box sizes and weights, and then very quickly come up with an average of what your overall shipping cost will be. And then you can use that within your pricing model to make sure you're passing along that shipping cost to your customer in an appropriate way within your pricing model. So whether that's charging a flat rate and using that full shipping cost as your average, or offering free shipping and then baking that cost of shipping into the actual cost of your item, there are many different ways that you can pass along that cost appropriately, but understanding that average shipping cost is an exercise that will make you more effective and more profitable as your business continues to scale. Excuse me.
Thanks, Mike. And then the next question I had was, okay, I have my package. I know how to price it. I know what my cost is, and I know which carriers I'm going to be using. How do I actually get it picked up or get it out to my customer? Malcolm, I'm gonna come to you.
Yeah, thanks. So as Mike already described, he's already giving you expert advice on how do you choose the right shipping option, how do you minimize cost. So now you have your item, it's boxed up, it's ready to go. Kind of the way the world is right now, maybe you're not so inclined to want to go to the post office or leave your house, or maybe put pants on for that matter. If you're anything like me, you want to have the carrier come to you. The great news is with Shippo, you can do that with just a simple click. So in your shipments tab, as you see on the screen, there is a schedule pickup button. So it's important to note that that is for USPS and DHL Express. You can still do carrier pickups for additional carriers. However, that would be arranged directly with the carrier. So for instance, like UPS and FedEx. So you want to give yourself also to about 24 hours if you're scheduling a carrier pickup. So if you have something that needs to go out and you're scheduling a pickup right now, it's fair to assume that that would probably be occurring on Monday, or if this was a Monday, then it would be coming on a Tuesday. So additionally too, if you have something that's going with an expedited service level, like overnight, of course, you would probably want to drop that off at the carrier pickup location as well. So at the post office. Another thing that's super important relating to carrier pickups is actually scan forms or manifests. And that is that document looking thing with a barcode that you see on the screen as well. So what is that? This is really important. So it is a log or a record of all of the shipments you are indicating that you are either dropping off or having picked up for that particular instance or that day. So this is really important if you have, say, maybe more than a handful of packages. There's no official time or place in which this will be required, but most USPS carriers will want you to have this if you have more than a few items. So it's important because instead of them scanning each individual label to register it as picked up, so imagine if you have business is booming and you have 50 packages that need to go out in one day, they'd have to scan each individual package. That would take a lot of time. With this, it will associate all of those packages with one individual barcode. They'll still have their unique tracking numbers, but it will associate with one barcode. And when they scan that, it will log all of them as picked up. You can generate a scan form manifest directly in that shipments tab. It's actually right next to the schedule pickup button.
Awesome. Thanks, Malcolm. And we talked about, choosing packaging to make sure your product gets there safely, but to ensure that it does, or account for times when it does not, or runs into issues. Can you walk us through insurance, Malcolm?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of walking through big picture, we've already got things boxed up. We figured out the best way to send it. We're ready to send it out, but we want to make sure that we're covering our bases for anything that could possibly go wrong. It's important to note that most carriers and service levels already include some basic level of insurance. That's generally between somewhere around $50 and $100 of the basic insurance that is covered automatically at no additional cost to you. There's more information about that in our Help Center documents that indicate exactly what those particular insurance levels are for each service level and carrier. But aside from that, say you're shipping something that is extremely fragile or it's very expensive, it might be prudent to add additional insurance. And you can do that quickly and easily in a very cost-effective manner directly within Shippo. So insurance is just 1% or 1.25% of the declared value, depending upon which Shippo plan you're on. So if you're on the Pro plan, it's just 1%. So for instance, if something is shipping out for $1,000 of additional insurance, it would cost you $10 to insure that. And this is going through a vetted third-party partner. So all of your claims, no matter if you're shipping through UPS, USPS, FedEx, and you're insuring through Shippo, it will be the exact same claims process where you can easily get in contact with the rep to help settle your claim.
Awesome. Thanks, Malcolm. And we've already mentioned it a couple of times through the conversation, but how do we optimize across multiple carriers? Mike, you already mentioned USPS and UPS. How do we take advantage in Shippo?
Yeah, great question. So when you are trying to figure out what the cheapest carrier option for your shipments is, first and foremost, you'll want to use your own custom packaging. If you're using a carrier provided parcel like a USPS flat rate box, Shippo will only show you USPS priority mail options because you can't use that box to ship with other carriers. So important first step is make sure you're using your own custom dimensions there. Secondly, you'll want to make sure you have all of your carriers activated. So you can do this in the settings and carriers tab, as you're seeing here on the GIF on the screen. Just by going in there, you'll be able to see all of the active carriers on your account. And in the instance where you don't see UPS automatically available, you'll see that brown button in the top right-hand corner that says Get Special UPS Discounts. This comes up when maybe your address isn't necessarily supported by UPS initially for pickup, so you'll just have to confirm that address, and then you'll start seeing rates within Shippo for UPS as well as USPS. Additionally, if you have your own carrier account, like myself, I have my own FedEx account, and I've connected that to Shippo as well. You can do that with the Connect Carrier Account button in the top right-hand corner of this GIF. You'll see it right now. There it is. And all you'll have to do is confirm the name on the account as well as the account number and address. And then when you are searching for rates, you'll see not only Shippo's discounted rates with USPS, UPS, DHL, you'll also see your own carrier negotiated rates in that same line item. So for our platform does a fantastic job of providing you that transparency that no matter what shipping option you're using, you know that for that specific shipment, you're paying the lowest amount possible.
Awesome. So now I have my package, my product is ready to be sent out to my customer. It's insured. I've asked for the carrier to come pick it up. And yeah, I'm ready to send this out to my customer. What kind of experience can we provide for your customer? Malcolm, I'm going to come to you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. So if you're anything like me, the moment you purchase your item, you're wondering when is it going to arrive, right? I'm checking tracking, looking for updates the second that I click buy. I'm sure your customers probably aren't too dissimilar. So the great news is that that kind of experience, those sorts of expectations are easily met when you're utilizing Shippo. So Shippo allows you to generate or create automatic tracking notification emails that are sent directly to the email address that's associated with your customer's order that's automatically importing over from your e-commerce platform. So whatever email address they're using when they check out through, for instance, Shopify, that will be where the email that notifies them of their delivery is being sent. The good news is that you can turn this functionality on or off. So some platforms already have some sort of basic level of tracking notification built in. So if you're already using that and enjoying it, you can keep doing that. But if you don't have that or would like to utilize it, you can do it automatically within Shippo. So Shippo will generate a tracking notification email that indicates when the item goes out, and then also will send an automatic email to your customer when the item is delivered. So very convenient to apprise them of the package coming, and then also too, that is probably waiting for them at their mailbox or their doorstep.
One of my favorite notifications to get for sure. And then this doesn't usually happen to me when I online shop, but sometimes it can happen when I have to return something. And one of my favorite things is the ease of returning things nowadays when I am shopping online. Malcolm, can you walk us through returns and our returns process?
Yeah, so returns can be a tricky subject or a tricky area for any merchant to tackle, whether it's a small business, an individual shipper, or a major merchant, right? This is a very important part. Also, too, when you're utilizing returns, potentially, it can help increase your business, of course, by offering easy, hassle-free returns. So if this is something that you utilize now or might see yourself utilizing in the future, the main takeaway is that Shippo has you covered. So with Shippo, you have two really great and easy ways to simplify your return process. The first being to totally automate this process. So you can generate automatic return labels with each shipment that you send out. These are scan-based return labels, which is really awesome because you don't actually pay for them unless your customer utilizes them. So let me walk you through it. So you're generating your label, you're printing it out, you're packaging up your item to go out to the customer. Shippo will also include, when you print out, a scan-based return label that you can slip into that package. So the customer has the option if the item doesn't work for them, it doesn't fit, they don't like it, whatever fits your return policy, they actually don't have to reach out and go through the process with you. They can simply elect to send it back with that return label. If they don't use that return label, you pay nothing. You only pay if they use it. The second option for handling returns through Shippo is to generate labels on a one-off basis. Maybe you have a different type of item or that automated process doesn't really work for your business model. You can create one-off instances of return labels directly within your orders dashboard. Super simple. And you simply generate a PDF and you send it out to your customer with the return label.
Awesome. Thanks, Malcolm. So we walked through basically everything you needed to think about before you start to ship your products to your customers. But we didn't really walk you through what the actual first step is when you are getting your orders online. And for that, I'm going to go back to Mike to talk about, where to really get started. And that's connecting your store.
Yeah, that's definitely the first step when it comes to using Shippo. So you'll do this in Shippo by going to the settings and stores tab. And then there's a big button, the only button on that page, and it says connect store. You'll be able to, at that point, select the type of store you're using, if not multiple stores. And basically, you'll just have to log into that store through Shippo, and all of your orders will be automatically synced. So you're seeing on your screen here all of the different storefronts that we integrate with. You can connect multiple of these to one Shippo account so that you have one place to manage all of your orders across both e-commerce platforms as well as e-commerce marketplaces like Etsy, eBay, Amazon, or website builders like Wix or Shopify. As soon as you connect it, we'll import those orders automatically. Generally takes 5 to 30 seconds, depending on how many orders you have pending there. And then you can start the fulfillment process in Shippo. Once you've created the labels in Shippo, the great part about our platform is that we automatically communicate all of this information back to those e-commerce platforms. So the label tracking number, as well as the fulfillment status, will be updated in your e-commerce platform so that you don't have to copy and paste anything. If you have notifications going out from your Shopify store, those will automatically include the right tracking information to really give the final push on that post-purchase experience for that customer.
Awesome. Thank you both for walking us through everything to get started, really. Any last thoughts, tips, or tricks before we log off for Friday?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
I'll happy to jump in here. So I don't really have any specific tips or tricks, but I will say that this was just a very, very brief overview of some simple ways that you can get started with Shippo and best utilize our services. But there's a much longer conversation to be had that we're willing to chat with you about ways that you can improve your business or simplify your shipping even further. And there are a variety of ways that we can continue this conversation. You can see the email address right there on the screen, support@goshippo.com. If you have any inquiries or any issues, obviously, please reach out to our support team that way. We have live in-app chat, also a really great solution. Also, too, if you want to schedule a phone call, any way that you want to get in contact with us, we're happy to help facilitate that. Additionally, too, we have an awesome help center with great resources about utilizing Shippo and also carrier service levels, additional information there. Also, too, we have a blog. There's really good information about the shipping industry at large, different issues going on with small businesses. There's a lot of really great content that isn't specific to just how-to stuff. It's really, really good stuff to learn just for improving your business overall. So I think the main takeaway is that we want to talk, we want to help you out, we want to be a resource for you in any way possible. Please reach out if you need anything.
Awesome. Thanks, Malcolm. Yes, the blog is a resource that I always send people to just for more of a holistic understanding of shipping in the industry. But that's all we have. We will follow up with the recording of this webinar, and yeah, that should come out next week. We're usually pretty fast, but I hope everyone has an amazing Friday and a great weekend. Yeah. Bye, everybody.